Breaking news here on Timcast. What do we have here? We've got 4X live earthquake near Taiwan, magnitude 7.5 felt in Taipei. Japan impacted also, tsunami alert issued. I hope everybody is okay. I hope there's not going to be a tsunami. Evacuation advisory issued to Okinawa coastal areas in Japan. Okinawa encompasses the island chain south of west of Japan's main islands. Tsunami alert issued up to 3 meters high. Holy crap. Power outages reported in areas of Taipei. Well, you know, the scary thing is if there was a time to actually storm Taiwan, it would be now.
After a natural disaster of some sort.
Right away. I mean, it's going to disable defensive capabilities.
Yeah, when Taiwan is
China
vulnerable.
just doesn't have the capability.
To take Taiwan?
I don't think so.
Why not?
So they've got when you look at it, if you judge militaries by the Excel spreadsheet, right? Like the number of tanks, the number of men, the number of whatever, China's military looks incredibly powerful. The problem is that they run into major logistical issues when you're trying to pull off a major amphibious campaign, because Taiwan has about 150, 190,000 people in their active duty military. They have 2 million reserves. Right. And that terrain is not the easiest to fight. So now you're going to have to cross 100 miles of open ocean. Right, which you're not going to be able to just do that. And now, how many troops do you have to actually send over to establish a beachhead? And then you have to supply a logistical train across 100 miles of open ocean.
Yep.
I mean, this is a nightmare. And the Chinese military, I'm sorry, 2 million active duty personnel. Okay, you think that's all Class A divisions? No, there's a lot of like conscript troops in there that aren't very good, that are not capable of conducting a complex amphibious operation. Then, in order to pull it all off, you have to maintain complete air superiority in order to protect your supply lines, unless you're going to be able to move in and do it. And by the way, the Taiwanese are going to fight, right? They're not rolling over on this. And so with minimal U.S. support, air and naval, no ground troops, China cannot sustain that invasion. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Not to mention the fact with the currents and everything else, you got to attack at certain times of the year. Otherwise, it becomes even more difficult.
It is kind of funny that Taiwan is actually China.
Yeah.
But we call it Taiwan even though it's actually China.
Yeah, Republic of.
The original.
Yeah.
The OG
Communists
government.
couldn't get it.
Yeah.
The Grand Republic of China.
Yeah.
Let it reign once again.
Yeah, I mean, I agree as well. And from an economic standpoint with China, they're not in any state to be funding a war, let alone like making the stuff to have a war. It's not really in their best interest right now.
If Taiwan was like on the border of China, I'd be a lot more worried about it, because the logistical concept here is very, very different. But 100 miles of open ocean to launch an amphibious operation and sustain it is not easy.
And I don't even think it would be Chinese if it was on the mainland already.
Yeah.
The only reason those islands are not.
You know, we got 4 days until that eclipse that everyone's freaking out about.
Oh, really?
Half jokingly freaking out about, I guess. Yeah, the NASA's firing the APEP rockets at. You know what APEP means, right?
No.
The god of Egyptian god of chaos that chases the sun, the snake. So they did it on purpose, naming it that. But there's all these wild conspiracy theories, and then we get a 7.5 magnitude earthquake off of Taiwan.
They're flipping CERN on.
Flipping CERN on. Dude, the conspiracy X must be lighting up like crazy.
I imagine at the level of government you're at, you're not with the cultists, like the crazy, like esoteric, people that are like blood mad. But are there whiffs of this occult in the government, or are you kind of at the stage where it's not?
One of the beautiful things about being in a citizen legislature is, so most people don't know this, like most of your state legislatures are not full-time legislatures. We go down there like 60 days during even years, 45 days during odd years. We'll hear 2,000 bills within that time frame, and then we go home. We live in our districts. We only get, like in Virginia, $17,600 a year, roughly. That's your salary, right? It is not supposed to be your life, your career. You go down there, you do the people's business, you go back to your district, you hand your constituent services. That's it. 46 out of 50 state legislatures, that's the reality. When people talk about term limits, I'm like, not term limits. I want Congress to be a citizen legislature, because you don't want to pay politicians, full time to do it. But what it means, though, is we focus on what we're doing for that period of time, and then we get back home. But
this is people that have way too much time. That
oh
they're
my
just
God,
dawdling around for years.
If you're going to pay politicians to do nothing but sit around and dream crap up, they're going to dream up some pretty stupid crap, right?
That's got to be. I think about like the kings of old, all the Illuminati, all these ancient or super. I just saw a video of the most valuable house on earth. It's $1 billion home, and some guy I didn't get that. I don't know.
It's a 2-bedroom apartment in San Francisco.
Can you
That's
imagine?
true.
And like during COVID, the guy was so bored, he built
Bathroom
this
in the
underground grotto. Like these people with so much money that they can do and build almost anything
Yeah.
within reason. Then they start to dream up crazy. Then you get into like actual God and spirituality and the occult and all that stuff. And you're like, whoa, now I've got enough time to focus on it. I don't know. Do you get into it? Like I wasn't get into it. That's kind of weird because I kind of think as religion as a kind of the occult. Like I think of God and spirituality and all that as a form of occultism, but it's just a modern accepted occultism. We call it.
I think there's differentiation. Like I'm a Christian, and so I think there's a differentiation between that and what is generally associated with the occult. But yeah. But I don't know. I think that I think some of the stuff when you look at like Gnosticism and some of the mysticism that comes up, and yeah, some of it is rich guys with too much money and too much time on their hands.
But I think a lot of the universe is more magnetic than we realize, and so a lot of these patterns play out, like getting hit by comets that are like magnetically trapped in orbit, our moon eclipsing the sun in just the right proportion where it blocks the entire thing out, held magnetically in position. So behavior, our brains are magnetic. They have these neural pathways and stuff, and I wonder if like there is something going on. That's the reason, because like Tim kind of brought up jokingly, like April 8th, they're firing these APOP rockets. CERN's firing on. We got a earthquake. Could be coincidence. I don't really believe in coincidences.
I'm just
anymore.
checking videos while you guys are talking, just so you know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm looking at all the breaking footage, seeing if there's.
It actually is kind of really interesting phenomenon that we are the only planet. I believe the only planet within certainly within our solar system, but I think it's broader than that is actually in a position to be able to have a full eclipse. And it's an interesting it's an interesting phenomenon that the one planet that actually has people that can observe an eclipse is the one planet that actually has the sort of
Where the-
full lunar eclipses.
The moon is the exact right size
Yes.
for its distance to the sun, so that it creates the eclipse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's held in the Lagrange point between the Earth and
crazy.
the Sun, probably, where like the Sun and the Earth are pulling on it at equal magnitudes.
And it also like that phenomenon has also made it possible to recognize other scientific phenomenon when they looked at things like with respect to the theory of relativity and whatnot. Like if we weren't in our special position within the solar system, we wouldn't be able to do it. It's an interesting thing. Some people use it from like a design concept. Other people think,
Someone just mentioned in Super Chat, don't forget the dual Emergence cicada is a 221-year occurrence.
Yeah.
So is that like the locust plague? We have darkness.
Yeah.
What are the plagues?
Darkness, locusts, river turns to blood, death of firstborn, measles, frogs.
Whoa, we have measles
Yeah.
in Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many plagues are we
Oh,
having?
we had
toads out front.
bubonic plague in Oregon. That yeah.
Wow.
That's it, yeah.
River turns to blood. How much you want to bet we're going to get some kind of like something bad's going to happen on the border? Rio
There could
Grande.
be, or like
Yeah,
iron.
maybe.
There could be like an iron explosion into the water.
We're just going to do all four horsemen at once.
They'll do. The Earth will fertilize itself with iron from time to time, and it just spurt like iron
Yeah.
water into the rivers
Yeah.
and turn them red. But the killing of the firstborn, I think a lot about sterilizing children when we're talking about that and how what they're doing to their children at the children's behest, and like is that meeting some sort of biblical prophecy of destroying your firstborn?
I think it is fascinating. It is fascinating when people make parallels between when you look at like ancient, Baal worship and whatnot. It was the idea of child sacrifice for fertility or for agricultural purposes or whatnot. I mean, the Carthaginians were doing this like at the same time that they were fighting the Punic Wars. But yeah, it is amazing. It is amazing and absolutely horrific what we are allowing to happen to children. In the name of a form of kind of self-worship that is just, you would have thought it unthinkable 20 years ago.
Man, the stuff that's been going on. And I saw this tweet. They said the hour is later than you think. Like the Biden administration is actively engaging in communist policies, going after their political rivals. The position that we are in right now in this country, it's just, I believe anything probably.
I think, the more I read of like Antonio Gramsci and the whole concept of the reason why Marx got it wrong is because Marx thought it was economics. And Gramsci came to the conclusion, sitting in a prison in Italy in the 30s, that, well, no, you have to set up a complete counter culture. And that became known as the March Through the Institutions. He didn't coin that term, but it came. And if you look at it, I think a lot of people want to believe that there was some sort of secret force out there, where it was the KGB or whatnot, that was manipulating. And yeah, you had things like active measures that, Yuri Bezmenov talks about and whatnot. But more than that, you just have a lot of people that like the explanation Karl Marx gave for everything that ails them. And it got really popular in Hollywood. It got really popular in higher ed. And now we shouldn't be surprised that it's filtered down to the rest of society.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.